We can review. Oh, all right.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to this really chilly day that no one asked for. Just kidding. It's fall, so.
It's fall. It's okay. Welcome to our live stream. I feel like we're getting a little bit earlier each week by like half an hour, so eventually we'll nail down the time. But anyways, my name is David.
I'm Bree.
And we're just talking every week. And right now we're just kind of doing a series on money topics and taboo things. And so we're just inviting you along. And this is going to like 5 different platforms: Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, no, not Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, and also has a podcast. So not that anyone is going to listen to any of this. But, and then, yeah, so we're going to do a quick week in review and then jump into our topic of the day, which if you read the title, you already know what it is, but we'll get to there soon. So
you're not going to say what it is ahead of time?
No, you got to wait for it.
Ooh.
Anticipation. All right. How was your week, babe? Doing good?
My week
was
fine. I don't even know. Anybody else, like, every day just blurs. Like, first of all, it's like almost mid-October. Is mid-October already?
It's October 17th.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about things. And no, it was fine. What did I even do this week?
We went to Amish country on the weekend.
We did go to Amish country.
You did a whole bunch of UX work.
Yeah. So just chugging along with the UX design certificate from Google. Cool. So just getting through that. I have made it through basically the understand phase and the define phase, which is, learning all about your users and then defining the problem. And now we're getting into like ideating and stuff. So that's cool. So basically what it taught me was I like UX design that I've already learned thus far, and I would be really good at it because it combines some of my like psychology and sociology and counseling background.
The research stuff.
Yeah, because you got to understand the people that you're working for. So if the rest of the course goes absolutely terrible and I hate the rest of it, I can just become a UX researcher and specialize in kind of that understand phase and just get basic skills in the rest. But I think I'll like the rest too. So I'm about to do a competitive audit in the next week, which I'll talk about next week, I guess.
Cool.
But this week it was good. Mm-hmm. And just playing with our dog Ajax that we talked about last time. So view that video if you want to learn about
how much it costs to have a living fur ball.
And other than that, just trying to enjoy the day, watching some Hallmark movies and other cute movies, but also it's October, so trying to find scary movies, thriller movies.
We watched Dark Skies, which is like, I don't know, 5 years old, 6 years old?
No, it's 2013. Early. Was it? I thought it was early 2000. So I don't know.
But anyways, that movie started off really dumb and then it just got scarier and scarier. So
well, they just used all the like, theatrical elements well, like the music and sound and whatever. Yeah. So
anyway.
So just getting ready for the scary month of October, which is fun to do.
Good. My week was chill. I did work. I thought I had the newsletter yet, but I don't think it came out yet. So I wrote like the new version of the Ghost newsletter again, and next week I'll show you that because the new version is really cool. I'm definitely proud of it. And found this cool podcast called Writers in Tech that I've been listening to obsessively. My wife laughs because I get like super obsessed with rabbit holes, and they're all I can think about and talk about and do. So like
it's very hyper focused.
I get very hyper focused on tangents. So that was my latest tangent this week. And then I'm trying to think. Yeah, we went to Amish country, which was super fun. They had a pie sampler, so we got 6 half slices of pie, 4 of which are still in the fridge. So that's something to look forward to. But anyways, yeah, nothing too crazy. It's a pretty quiet week. So you want to tell them what our topic of the day is kind of today. I know I like told you in passing like 3 or 4 times. So you go ahead and tell me what you think it is, and then I'll tell you what it was in my mind.
I think today's topic of the day, week, whatever you want to call it, is whether or not we and you should let money influence the careers you choose.
100%. Yeah. So like, should we? How has it? How are we thinking about it going to the future?
Yeah.
I feel like this is such an interesting, I don't know, like spectrum. 'Cause I know there's people who choose their careers 100% based on how much money they can earn. For better, like this is not a moral argument today. It's more like a practical, logistical, like, now that we are, still fairly young in our careers, like late 20s, early 30s, just thinking about the next 20, 30 years, what do we want to do and how is the money portion going to impact that? Because I feel like, I'll just start first a little bit. I feel like I did not treat the money factor as important as it actually is in my early years of the career. And, by the time I was done with my first master's, already into my late 20s, I was like, I need to start thinking about this differently, especially like as a married individual who has goals other than living in a shack and reading books all day. And I wish, like, I only saw it as kind of an either or conversation. Either you pick a career based on how much money you're going to earn, or you don't, and you just pursue something, that you're passionate about. That's good. And it's not an either or conversation. It's a spectrum. And I didn't understand that. And because I didn't understand that or have someone explain it to me like that, I feel like I was at a disadvantage because I always felt like I was choosing one over the other, when that's not the case at all. So what about you? I feel like,
Well, I'm changing careers.
So.
So BrieRamas.com, you can see my Hello UX blog post that kind of talks a little bit about this. I never cared about looking into money as a reason for getting a job, because to me, all jobs pay money. I mean, I wanted one that I was going to college and getting at least an undergrad degree. And so one that at least would, be an equivalent, like I would make more than minimum wage, right? But by getting the college degree and going into a college educated field, I guess, it was automatically assumed that you would make minimum wage, which is funny because that's not always the case.
No.
So for me, it never, yeah, I mean, honestly, actually, I'm fellow social workers out there and not working in nonprofits. They actually thought, like, lots of my professors would say to our cohorts, like, we all know you're not going in this for the money. Right. And I think it never clicked just how much, like, you learn about it and you think how overworked and underpaid you are. But it's very different experiencing it year after year after year. And then kind of having your values change. Money was never a value. Like, there was this weird, twisted sense of morality around it. You don't talk about money. You don't want money. Money is bad. So that's why you don't talk or want on it, even though it helps pay the bills.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil. So that was kind of like, and nobody like directly taught that, but that's, Sociology 101, socialization from our schools and society and churches. And yeah. So I guess that's where I was, I guess.
Yeah. I think I encountered a lot of the same beliefs in so I actually went to college for engineering, mechanical engineering. That's what I started as. And it was just kind of like, I was good at math and science, so that's what people told me to do. And so I went there and I was like,
probably so you could make money too.
Yeah, it was just kind of the assumption, like, smart kids do better, right? So do what a smart kid would do. They'd go towards engineering and whatnot. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I didn't didn't have a lot of good mentors in my life to look towards. And I also didn't pursue them. So that's not like, oh, poor me. It was like, I was just a hard-headed, teenager being like, I know best. I know what I'm going to do. So I ended up going down like the writing path. Within that, I had a lot of different majors in colleges. I went to 3 different undergrads. So like I jumped around a lot, but the whole idea was like, I'm going to learn the skills and background I need in order to pursue whatever career looks like in writing. So I ended up with a degree in classics and medieval studies, which like we would joke in the department that, basically if you look at a homeless person on the street, like, oh, I bet they were a classics major in college. Like that was just the assumption, like
You're
these
unemployed.
right, these people who got their PhDs from like top tier schools in the world, not even just the country, in the world, and had books and articles published under them, and were doing like groundbreaking research under like, one of my advisors like literally wrote the book on what slavery looked like in ancient Greece, and it completely like undid a lot of the stereotypes of what people thought. And she was barely getting paid $40K or $50K at the time as like a super assistant part-time professor, like, and then she was made full professor like after the book came out. And it was just like, the struggle is basically with the whole, like, there's so much struggle in that sector, and I just assumed that's how it would be. And then I went to seminary, which isn't any better, like, teaching pastors how to run churches and stuff, but almost like, a church in a lot of cases is at least $1 million organization. And like some of these larger churches are 8-figure organizations that, a leading figure will have to know how to run budgets. And there was not one financial literacy class in that entire master's program. And I think about that a lot now as I talk to people like who graduated and gone on to do other things, like just insane. So anyways, fast forward, to when we were having our conversations, like, we've been married for a while, and I'm thinking about leaving Tri-C. And Tri-C was the best money I'd been making in my life. Like, I was making a little over $60K a year, working with people I really enjoyed, working in higher ed, which is something that was always my goal. And I was like, did I choose the money or the passion thing? Like, am I not being truthful to myself? What limitations am I putting on myself? And all of that is a long way to say, like, I left because I knew I needed to think differently about the choices I was making, and I wasn't going to do that well if I stayed in that position.
Yeah, which is funny because that choice was sacrificing money for the sake of pursuit and passion.
Mm-hmm. Which, like, if I could do it over again, I would 100% do it a little differently. But
I don't know.
It worked out really
to do
well.
It that way.
You
Yeah.
think so?
Well, yeah, because you quit your job, and then we were on my salary. I mean, you were making, a little side income, but we were having it being reinvested into your business. Yeah, it wasn't like investing into our bank, whatever you want to call it. We made it work. I wasn't making that much, but we made it work for 2 people. We were always very budget conscious, frugal, not as much as other people, but and then a couple months later, that choice is what allowed us to move.
Yeah. So you want to say like kind of your story of what, like, pick up where that happened and then where you are now?
Yeah. So a couple months after that, after Dave making that choice and deciding he, just needed to reevaluate his views of money and jobs and passion and creativity versus basic needs and practicality, right? Like trying to figure out all that. I was working for an agency that was funded by a grant, and because of the way that was based on fees from criminal charges, and because the way the state of a lot of criminal offenses were being charged as civil instead of criminal, and so there was a huge huge cut. I mean, along with other, like, just politics, right? A huge cut in that grant, which was the primary funder at the time. And that was across the board. So I had been there for a couple years, but I was the newest hire in the department. So they decided to cut me to part-time, which was interesting.
Yeah, which was a little scary because like I'm just getting my freelance writing career off the ground, figuring out what that looks like.
We're relying on my sole income.
So we were relying solely on her income.
Yeah.
And it gets slashed less than half.
Yeah. And I had been doing, like, I kind of outgrew the position. I think nobody expected me to stay there as long as I had to. And I was doing other stuff on the side as sort of like a pseudo internship. So I was getting like all these cool skills and still being able to do
Really
things. Cool. And there was free time, just like with most jobs, right? So I was able to, yeah. So anyways, it forced me, I had already been casually looking, but it forced me to really consider other job opportunities because it's easy to get comfortable, right? And so that's when I got the interviews and found a cool director position. And that's why we moved to Cincinnati. And for almost 3 years, 2.5, something like that. I forget, 2 and 8 months.
Yeah, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's awesome because you held 2 director positions down there.
Yeah. I loved the job. I loved my boss. I've always been fortunate to have really good bosses. I think that makes or break a job. Absolutely loved my boss. And my team was pretty cool. Liked the job overall. Some mismatch between where the organization was heading and my own values and my own values changing a little bit. And both of the positions that I had there were grant funded.
Which is shaky ground.
Which is shaky ground
a life on.
When you've already experienced grants cutting the feet under you, Right. And we did. We did lose the one grant because it was the same grant as the other that got slashed even further that year. Luckily, I had applied for another 3-year grant and was awarded it for the college. And that's how I still had a job. So I could have potentially been in the same boat. I know, every job gives the illusion of stability. Like, it's not necessarily that grant jobs are more stable than other non-grant jobs, but with grant jobs, you're always wondering and worrying every year, whatever the renewal cycle is, if you're going to have a job or if you're going to have the same salary, because usually it gets slashed. You don't usually get
a raise. No, raises kind of aren't a thing in, it's so funny. We hear, we'll come back, but we hear people in other industries, especially the tech industry, which is what we're going to lead this conversation into, and how you can get sign-on bonuses and regular raises. And for the first 10 years of our careers, essentially, yours less than that, mine. That's not a thing. No. Sign-on bonus, maybe they give you a parking pass that you don't have to pay for.
No, that's a normal part of the job.
and raises, you have to fight for your normal inflation raise, which may be 1 or 2%, not an actual significant amount.
Yeah, the only time I was able to make more money was when I quit the job and got another.
100%.
And I will say the last job I was at, they didn't have to, but the place I was working for did give all employees a little bit of money here or there, a little bonus or something, which was really nice.
A huge deal because it never happens.
No. And to be included in it, was cool because some people would exclude it being a grant funded position.
Right.
But anyways, there wasn't a lot of growth in the places we were. There were very little to no pay raises at all.
So during the time when she's working as the directorships and stuff, I went back to school and got a master's of education in instructional design. There you go.
Yeah.
Trying to think through how could I marry my past work in higher ed with my writing career and what I wanted to make in the future.
Yeah.
And that kind of led down a winding path of me looking for different kinds of opportunities. Or then I ended up at Ghost as their staff writer, which is a job I love. I'm very thankful for, and that kind of opened up the next phase. Yeah, when you went nuclear.
Oh, and I went nuclear. Well, yeah. So I'm not going to get into that story.
No,
I don't think
you
you
don't
need
have to
that for
tell
the
that
conversation.
story,
But
but,
basically, long story short, I ended up quitting my job, and I gave a good notice.
Good notice, yeah.
Yeah,
2
good
months,
notice.
3 months?
Maybe, 2 or 3 months. And we decided to move back to Cleveland and buy a house. And when we were moving back to Cleveland, because we gave good notice, we knew what it was happening in advance. I actually decided not to apply for jobs. So we came to Cleveland with his remote full-time job and me with no job in sight. And so it was cool. Here we are a few years later, and it's flipped, right? Like it's reversed. So now we're relying solely on his salary. Except I don't have any side income or hustle like you did. So,
Because you're more focused than I am. That's why.
So like really relying solely on him.
Plus my extras.
Plus now all the side hustle stuff that was just being reverted back into business now is going to both business and our personal.
Right. Which I'm very thankful.
Yeah, which is nice budgets. So I decided our values were changing. COVID, the work from homeness, the everything, everybody with the whole like, what should minimum wage be, and all the controversy with that,
and seeing it skyrocket. To get like my first job out of college, where I was making $35,000 a year. So what is that? $1,550. I had a degree. Like I went to school, and the best first job I could get was like no more than what you can get now walking into any department store.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
It's crazy.
I am not mad at those people. I think everyone should be earning more, but it's just crazy to me. So,
yeah. This isn't a political talk. We're not going to talk about the politics of it. But, what is the reality then for people? So I decided I wanted to reevaluate what kind of lifestyle did we want. We want to travel more. I really want the flexibility with, I know it's not a kid, but still with having the dog, so Dave can do his thing, I can do my thing. Yep. I'm really project focused and based. So like, I don't want to sit at work for 3 hours if I have no more work to do for the day. Right. I don't know, little things like that. With the type of life we want to build. I don't want to have to work 5 days a week, 9 to 5, plus overtime.
Yeah. And so like all this comes back to like now that we're a little settled and we've had a lot of these value talks, which I think like that's worth an episode in itself. What are money values? Yeah. Where do you get them from? How do they evolve? Because ours have evolved a lot from, we will have been married 6 years. Which is crazy. And so, like where are we headed now? So Bree is looking at she's doing her UX stuff at a career that
has a lot of room for growth.
Yeah. And is marrying like the creativity with the money upside.
Yes. The creativity, the ability to improve lives depending on, the type of, just like with any field, the job you get. And an average minimum starting salary that would have been capped in my previous field would have been the cap.
After working 10 or even 20 years, you would have never out-earned what an intro level UX will.
No, there could have been chances, but it would have required a lot more sacrificing, getting more and more and more education and certifications and licensings and to me, yeah.
And same thing for me. So I'm very happy with where I'm at. And so my, going forward is how do I continue down a path that is both financially upside, both has financial upside and creative upside. And so, Bree's just been challenging me with the work she's doing, it's cool. It no longer feels like an either or when you're choosing a career. It's a spectrum. And so I wanted to read something that literally, as I was thinking through that, this thing that this guy Calvin wrote on another podcast that I can show you. So every job pays you 5 salaries. So financial, psychological, social,
Ooh.
educational, and freedom, right? And so when people think they're unhappy at work, they're usually like, I need to get paid more because that's going to be, that is my salary. And they're like, no.
Mm-mm.
Like financial is one part of it. The salary bonuses, equity, healthcare benefits, which, we know doesn't make the whole job. That's one small aspect.
It helps improve your life if it pays the bills,
Oh,
right?
100%. And that's the thing. Like, you can't discount that one. You can't say this job gives me fulfillment, this job gives me community, but I'm living with my parents still at 42. Like, nothing wrong with that if that's the life choice you make, but like, there are options that can satisfy both of those.
Yeah. If you intentionally choose that's how you want to live, then that's great.
Right.
Like,
but don't
you're
think
satisfying your values and your needs.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I used to think like there is no, like, it's not morally better to work a job that makes you poor. It's not, like, there is no moral benefit to that. You're not a better person. Like, you're not getting a special gold star from the universe. And so, yeah, like, I wish more people told me that. Like, it's okay to pursue a job for money because you have to understand how the money influences everything else. Like, yes, you want the job to give you psychological satisfaction. So like you derive meaning from your work. Social, you want to ideally enjoy the people you work for and work with.
Yeah.
Emotional, that like it's not a toxic environment, that you're developing skills and so on. And the freedom part. So like, you can kind of work on your own terms. Like you said, project-based.
Whatever that means for you.
Yeah. So like if your freedom is, geographic freedom, like you want a nomadic lifestyle, so you need a job that accommodates that. Like,
or maybe your freedom is consistency. You want a 9, you start at 9, you end at 5.
And there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Like this whole, it's called the great quitting, I can't remember now, but like over 4 million people quit their jobs in the last month. And so I went to Facebook and I asked this question, and like 10 people answered in the first 20 minutes. Like, yeah, like I quit my job in the last 2 months. And, they gave a whole host of reasons. But like now is the better time than ever before, at least in recent history, where you can kind of redefine the boundaries of what you want a career to be, and make a bold move towards that. And so like, yeah, I wish I believed that earlier in my career, and I wish I made financial decisions more of a boundary.
Yeah.
But
well, and like going back to the different social, psychological, financial, like those are based on the lifestyle that you want and the values you have. And I know we keep saying that, but that's really what it comes down to, because how you define the social for yourself, like there will be some standard definition of this is what it means,
right.
But what it means to you is going to be different than what it means to someone else. So if you're someone who is very career driven, you've got no dependents, whatever, like, and you just want to work 80-hour work weeks so that you can make money, you love your job because it gives you all that social and psychological fulfillment, then that's great. So I guess the challenge we should ask at the end, like you do, but is, man,
so much suspense. You just leave it.
Would be, are you satisfied with your job? Are you satisfied in your career? Or what if you could have a job that checks all the boxes?
Yeah, pays you twice as much.
If that's what you want.
Has you work half as much.
Yeah.
Lets you attend every kids game that you can. Like, would that be worth
actually gives you parental leave.
Yeah, actually gives you parental leave. Like, would that be worth making $5,000 less a year? Could you actually make more money if you chose a career that had those benefits? Like, I don't know. There's crazy. In a future episode, we're going to talk about this topic. I don't know if you can't even
What
see
is
it.
it?
It's so bright. How to find your enough number.
Ooh.
And so that has been a big one for us because, we talked about financial stuff in a vague, broad sense, but like once you know what your enough number is, built around the lifestyle you want to have, then suddenly salary becomes a smaller deciding factor in the career you choose.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know what you're aiming at, and anything more than that enough number just kind of bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I think like we're not solely basing our decisions on money
exactly.
and financials. It sounds like it because the reason why we're emphasizing
Math words.
yeah, math words every video, right? The reason why we're emphasizing money is because most people don't.
In our circles.
In our circles.
Yeah.
In our circles. They don't. They don't talk about it. They don't care to negotiate it. They don't look for it, and it's again, that in itself also isn't a bad thing, but it's more, it can limit your possibilities, I guess, when you don't consider all the factors that influence your, what was the list called?
Yeah, the 5 salaries that every
The
job
5
gets
salaries, yes.
Yeah, so those were.
Yeah, the 5 salaries. Like, if you're unhappy at work, which salary do you need to increase? Financial, psychological, social, educational, freedom. And for us, or for me, I found that they were often linked because I've had really great social salaries, but the psychological, that burden, that burnout, that being overworked usually came hand in hand with being underpaid and not making enough money. And so usually for me, I needed to look at not just one, there wasn't just one wrong salary. It was that they kind of tie together and influence one another. It's like a package deal, some of those financial, psychological, social, and educational freedom.
I think there's like a meeting point. So like there's a point at which you get paid very low and you're stressed all the time, hence McDonald's workers and gas station attendants, 2 jobs we have both held. And then on the other end, you're paid a ton because they expect you to be stressed all the time. So what I imagine, day traders and Wall Street executives, right?
And how everyone picks on lawyers.
So I think there's like a nice bubble in the middle where like, no, you're not you're maybe not the highest person paid in the world, but you're not the lowest paid. And there's just this circle of like, oh, like I can build a life I want. This is enough money for more than just my needs. It's also my wants. And like, that's where I think this bubble is bigger than people think it is. I think there's more opportunity to be here. And I think if you know what you're looking for, there's a clear path to get here.
Yeah. And it's about enoughness. Like, we're not talking about trying to find the perfect job, which would be a myth, I mean, some of you might feel like you have the perfect job, and that's great if that happens to be true. But it's just finding a job that has the enoughness threshold for your salaries, for your financial, psychological, social, educational freedom, and
eventually building that.
If you want, or growing towards it. Yeah. And so when I was trying to change careers, it wasn't just about the money, but what I found was when I started actually opening that dialogue for money, it became a conversation about freedom, and it became a conversation about the psychological, and and a whole new worlds of opportunity opened because your career influences your life. And I not only did whole new worlds of the career open, but also whole new worlds of my lifestyle and what that could potentially look like a year from now. Completely changed, all because of this.
So it's cool. It's exciting. We're excited to share this journey with you, and we'll end with that question. So this is posted everywhere, but like it's easier to see the comments on YouTube. So if you go just search our name or my name on YouTube, you'll find us. And then, so the question was like, are you happy with your career? If yes, tell us why. Tell us like, you know, of the factors, how do they come together to make you happy, and how did you end up there? And if the answer is no, like you're not happy right now, you know, what's the biggest factor? Are you being underpaid? Is it the stress? Is it the freedom? Like, what aspect of it just isn't working for you right now? I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. So
yeah.
there, like, what salary increase do you need? Financial, psychological, social, educational, freedom.
Yeah. So that's cool.
You tell us.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
some big changes are in store for you too.
Yeah. It's scary and exciting and full of opportunity.
It's definitely, oh, that's a good sales point. Yeah, it was definitely scary. I mean, we both quit our jobs at some point within the last 3 years because we wanted to make the significant change. And there are a lot of good, like, yes, the road is hard, but there are good things down the path. So thank you guys again for watching. Go answer that question.
Anything else?
What were you going to say?
I was going to end it.
Oh, you end it.
And as always, even though it's chilly outside, grab some sweater. Well, I mean, I guess if you're in Northeast Ohio, it's chilly outside. You might be in beautiful Florida on the beach, and for that, I'd envy you. But either way, grab a sweater, grab a beach towel, whatever you do, remember that it's a great day to have a beautiful day.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. See you all later. Bye.
Bye.